A few months ago, an article was posted online about a fan translation of an old SNES game called Marvelous, Another Treasure Island. It caught my attention as this was the first game that E.J. Numa, if I said his name right, the current head of the Legend of Zelda series, first directed. In fact, this was the game that got him that position. This is Mega Blade J with a retro review for Marvelous, Another Treasure Island for the Super NES. Marvelous was released in Japan on October 26, 1996 for the Super Famicom. It has never been released overseas, but recently has seen a fan translation. The story is pretty simple. Long ago, a powerful and feared pirate king hid his greatest treasure in one piece, in Marvelous. Fast forward a few centuries, and three boys are on a class field trip on an unexplored, deserted island. Why someone would think this is a good idea for a field trip is beyond me, but meh, game logic. Naturally, the kids stumble onto a tribe of talking monkeys and together set off for an adventure searching for Marvelous. You take on the role of the three young boys. The first is Dion. He's the shortest, so he's very fast and can fit into places the other kids cannot. The tall kid is Jack. He wears glasses, which naturally means he's smart and does machines. And the last member of the group is Max. He's the strong one of the group, does most damage to enemies, and is also the butt of many fat kid jokes. The game has a slight resemblance to Blizzard's Three Vikings, or more recently, Zelda Four Swords or Triforce Heroes. You can control all three kids at the same time, switch between each character, or separate and control each one individually. You will need to do this often, as each kid gains new, unique items and abilities that you'll need to bypass traps and defeat enemies. For example, Dion has speed boots which allow him to run faster and knock down out-of-reach items, similar to Link in the Past, while Max gets boxing gloves that let him one-hit most enemies, etc., etc. When all of your team is together, you can perform a special team action. These are needed to get past some obstacles, like having all your team push a heavy object, similar to Four Swords, or stack on top of each other to hit a switch that's out of reach, very similar to Triforce Heroes. Along the way, Team Marvelous runs into a cast of memorable and often hilarious characters. The dialogue is funny, and even manages to slip in a few adult jokes, which may be the reason we never saw it out west. With a few plot twists here and there, the story will keep you entertained for the game's 10 to 12 hours. Another unique aspect is how you interact with the world. When you push the action button, an arrow appears. You can move this arrow around and use it to examine items on screen. This is a neat addition that helps separate it from Zelda and reminds me of old PC point-and-click adventure games. The graphics and music are very good for an SNES game, with nice-looking environments with tons of hidden details. Like if you run for a long period of time, Max, being big-boned, will stop and catch his breath, then sprint to catch up with the rest of the party. It's little details like this that add charm to the game and give characters personality. I'm not sure if you notice, but I'm making a lot of comparisons to this game and Legend of Zelda series. There's a good reason for that. Many Zelda mechanics and ideas seem to have come from this game. This game was even built off of a Link to the Past engine. I won't spoil everything for you, but it was interesting just to see how many items and gameplay mechanics from more recent Zelda games originated from Marvelous in some way, shape, or form. One of the only negatives would be that, in my opinion, The solutions to like 2 or 3 of the puzzles are very vague and will take some time to figure out without looking at a guide. Now, keep in mind, it did take me an hour to get past a simple sliding block puzzle, so the issue might be the translation of the clues, or I might just be dumb and not good at solving puzzles that are more complex than lighting torches to open a door. So your experience may vary. If you do get stuck, however, you can just buy a hint using items called luck rocks that you collect all throughout your adventure. The only other negative would be that having to switch between all 3 characters can get a little annoying. When you switch to a new character, you're only controlling that character. The other 2 will sit in place until you use a whistle to call them to you. Similar in a manner to Pikmin. If there's an object between you and the called character, they will get stuck. If they don't reach you before you move on to a new screen, they will be left behind and you will need to backtrack to that previous screen to get them. Until you get used to this, it can be a little annoying. Despite these small flaws, I can't even begin to tell you how much I enjoyed this game. It's a shame that Marvelous was never released outside Japan. The characters are hilarious, there's tons of hidden details, and some brilliant brain-scratching puzzles. I can honestly say that this game is now near the top of my SNES list, just slightly below Link to the Past. The game was only released in Japan, but a recent fan translation is now available for English speakers. The game is pretty rare if you want to own a physical copy. If you can find it, a new copy could cost $30, and getting it used will anywhere from $20 to $15 online. There were 2 expansions made for the game for the short-lived Satellaview service. They were BS Marvelous Time Athletic and BS Marvelous Camp Arnold. Based on the available videos, they seem to have added more challenges and possibly a continuation of the storyline. Unfortunately, as of this review, I'm not aware of any translations of these 2 games. The game's ending leaves it open enough for a sequel, and I'm hoping that one day we will get to see this trio in a new game or even in Smash Brothers. This is an excellent hidden gem, and if you're a fan of Zelda, I highly suggest giving the game a try. This has been Megaplay J. If you like this review, like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next mission.